Hello, I'm Mariana, and this is my podcast, a podcast about sewing, knitting, and crochet. Today I want to share with you my two gold stars. I gave myself two gold stars, and the first one is this finished object. This is a sweater with a big, a very big history. So this is a sweater. It's a pattern by a Portuguese designer. I started this sweater back in 2022, maybe February, I think. At the same time, the designer published the pattern. This was knitted in a Portuguese yarn also. This is like a light fingering merino yarn with a silk mohair, and I had like let me see. I started with no problems. I knitted the sweater full speed, right? So the construction is very interesting because it's like you start with a square, and then the edges are in your shoulders, and then in your in the back and in the front, right? And then you get these stripes, like V stripes, and you separate for the sleeves, and then the same V goes all the way down to the wrist. But then I knitted all the sweater, all good, no problems. Let me show you. Then when I got to the ribbing in the bottom, I don't know what the hell I made. I picked less stitches than it was supposed to, and then I couldn't fit in the sweater because although she's oversized in this part, I don't know what the hell I made because this part was really short, and I don't know, it just didn't fit me. So I was really upset with myself for making this mistake, and then I decided, okay, so I'm not going to think about this ribbing now. I will finish the rest of the sweater. So I moved on to the sleeves. I knitted all the sleeves. So I knitted the first sleeve, no problem. I left the cuff. I didn't knit the cuff right away, but then I knitted the other sleeve, and as I'm knitting this last purple row, the mohair yarn ended. So I was a few stripes, a few rows from finishing the amount of rows the pattern stated, and then I was out of yarn, and then I was really upset, and then I decided I wouldn't knit the sweater anymore. So the sweater was in my shelf for almost a year. I talked about this process a lot in my Portuguese podcasts. One day I was making a review of all my whips, and I was talking about this sweater, and I said maybe I am going to frog the thing and use the yarn to make another project. But then all my lovely knitting friends said, no, don't do that, the sweater is perfect, it just looks so great on you, you should make the effort and try to finish the sweater. So The sweater stayed on my shelf for a few more months, and last month I decided that I was going to finish the sweater. I was going to rip the cuff, the ribbing out, and I was picking up stitches again and do the ribbing all again. I don't like to knit ribbing. And that's probably why it took me um, so much time to get this damn thing done, you know. But it's done now, so I'm very happy with the result. If you want, this is a this is a I should have started in the beginning. So this is Aurora Sweater. This is a pattern by Filipa Carneiro. You can find the pattern on Ravelry. It's also available in English, so it's okay. It's good. It's good. I think you can find it in Portuguese, obviously, and also in Spanish. So great, a lot of options. Um, you can also use any light fingering yarn and a lace yarn like mohair if you don't mind all the fluffiness of the mohair. But overall it's a great sweater. It's a very comfortable sweater. I like it a lot. It's perfect for this time of the year here in Portugal. And yes, so I'm very happy. This is my first gold star because it took me a lot of time. It's not because of the amount of time that I took to knit the sweater. It's because of all the obstacles I created to myself. You know, all the lack of motivation. And all of that, you know, overcoming all of that, it's the reason why I am giving myself a gold star. Okay, not the time. So this is the first one. The second gold star I am giving to myself because, you know, I can, is a scarf that I've been knitting for my oldest girl. So this is just a plain boring, very boring scarf. It's just plain knitting, you know. I've knitted in the round, so it's like double knitting, right? It's fluffy and squishy, and it's very soft. And well, she asked me to knit her a pink scarf. She chose the yarn, and also the reason why it took me. There are two reasons why I didn't finish this faster. One, it's because this is a very boring knitting. I'm not sure if I if I'm being clear enough. This is just plain knitting, and it's boring as hell. But okay, so that's the first reason why it took me so long. The second reason is when I bought the yarn for this scarf, I was intending to make a different scarf. So I thought I would only need a certain amount of yarn, and then because I changed my plans, right, the yarn wasn't enough. So I used a yarn that I don't have here to show you, but this is like an acrylic yarn from Hobby, and I decided to held it double with a blend, another acrylic mohair blend. And the reason why I decided to use acrylic yarns in this project is once because this is a scarf for a 16-year-old girl, and I think once this scarf starts to go out and leave my house, it's very probable that it won't come back. So I didn't want her to lose a very expensive scarf, you know. I didn't want her to just leave a scarf behind the bus or in a school class or something. that I would really be bothered by. Okay, so she can leave this thing wherever she wants. It won't hurt my feelings, right? But if this was made out of a premium wool, it would hurt a lot. So this is the reason why I chose acrylic yarn. And also because this is a very soft acrylic yarn and it's not itchy, and I think it's perfect for her. So the second reason why this took me more time than I had originally planned is because at some point I ran out of the mohair yarn, and then I didn't want to order more, and then I decided I would use a leftover from drops, a kid silk yarn that I have. But then the difference in the, although this is a very lightweight yarn, right? So it's mohair, but the thing is, the acrylic version, the like the how can I say this, the center of the yarn, it's also purple. So when you mix both yarns together, you always get like this pink color. But in the drops yarn, the center of the yarn, I'm not sure if I can show you, the center of the yarn, it's like a white strand, a white yarn, and then the fluffy part is pink. So when you blend it, you see that there's a lot of white little dots that appear in this part that are not present in here. See the difference? So at first this was really being a problem for me, but then I decided, well, if you are not going to order more yarn, and this is the only way to go, it's the only way to go. So just keep knitting and it's okay. So I just follow the plan and I didn't say anything. Honestly, I just shut my mouth and she never saw the difference. So it's all good. Sometimes I think that we are too picky with our own projects, and this was really bothering me. But I gave her the scarf, she used it, and I had zero complaints, so I'm not sure she will ever see the difference in both sides of the scarf. But okay, so it is what it is and it's done. So this is my second gold star, and for all the reasons I've stated, I'm very happy with myself because this was really, really, really boring knitting. Next in line I have another finished object. Usually I don't have this many finished objects, but well, the sweater was already knitted, so just a little bit of ribbing to knit, not an entire sweater, so it's almost it almost doesn't count, right? So the real finished object I have to show you is my husband's sweater. So this is the sweater I've shown last video. I was knitting, not sure, maybe I've finished the back of the sweater and started the front, I'm not sure. But once I started the front of the sweater, because it has a cable, not sure if I can show you, it has a cable panel. This was really, really fun to knit and easy, and fast to knit, right? Because we are always trying to reach the next cable row, right? Just to see a little bit more of the pattern growing. And yes, this was a really fun sweater to knit. As I've told you in the last episode, this is a pattern by Cedar, which is a yarn brand. And this is just a pattern called men's polo neck sweater, I think. It's quite a classic design. And yes, so my husband is very happy with this sweater. I'm very happy with this sweater also. I think it looks really great on him. I will leave you a photograph. And well, that's my finished objects for the day, with 2 gold stars for myself. So moving on to my works in progress. Now, works in progress. What can I tell you about my current knitting? So I am looking for my next project. Sorry, I am knitting. I'm doing a test knit for a knitting friend. So I have, well, I think last episode I left you a list of Portuguese podcasters that are also podcasting in another languages. So Nana has a podcast, and she records mostly in Portuguese. Sometimes she does this English podcast where she talks about all her projects, but she doesn't do it. It's not that she doesn't do it regularly. It's just that she does not duplicate the contents, right? So you don't get a Portuguese episode and the same episode recorded in English, okay? So she records a few podcasts in Portuguese and then she records one in English, and it's for everybody. Not sure if I'm being clear, but well. Anyway, she started designing a few patterns a few time ago. So she has a few sock patterns, and this year she will be releasing a summer top pattern, and I'm test knitting this pattern for her. So I'm not going to show you the pattern, the sweater as it is, of course. This is a top-down sweater top. So this is a top-down top. I am using a silk yarn. This is also a yarn by a Portuguese brand called Rosários 4. The yarn is named Madragoa. It's pure silk, and yeah. So this is a very simple top. I'm showing you the back. The top has a front lace panel, and it will be a short sleeve top. So there's also the same lace pattern will be on the sleeve. And yes, this is, I have already separated for the sleeves. So this is how much I've knitted for the body. And it's now that I've separated for the sleeves, this is growing a lot faster because it's off the stitches, right? So it's quite fast. Next, because I've accomplished so many gold stars this month, I decided to allow myself to start another project. So I've started another summer top. So let me just go back a little bit. I'm not sure if in the last episode I talked about my future plans. So initially I was planning on knitting winter knits, winter garments during the month of March, but then I decided not to. So I ended the projects I was knitting, like my husband's sweater, but I decided not to start any other winter project. So I moved on to summer knits, and because I was ordering the yarn for the test knits, I decided to buy other summer yarns, just to make a little bit of just to give you a little bit of context. Last year I knitted a lot of summer tops, but I used mostly fingering yarn, and by the end of the summer I was really bored with the light knitting, because I have a very loose gauge, right? So I always have to knit with smaller needles. So I'm always in these kinds of yarn. I'm always using 2 and 2.5 millimeter needles, and it makes the project really slow to grow, right? And it after a few projects it gets a little bit boring. So this year I decided I was going to knit using heavier weight yarn. So because I was ordering from a Portuguese online store, and because it has a lot of yarns from this Portuguese brand, which is Rosário Quatro. And Rosário Quatro has a great variety of summer fibers and blends, and in Portugal it's almost impossible to wear wool during the summer and most of the spring, and probably most of the autumn also. So this cotton and silk and bamboo and linen and flax and these kind of fibers are really suitable for our summer weather. So I decided to go with bamboo yarn, which it's supposed to be like iron weight yarn, but I think it's like, if you look at the yarn by itself, not by the weight, because it's bamboo, it's heavier than wool, right? So I think I would say it's a kind of a decay weight yarn. So anyway, I am planning on knitting. This was all for me to say that I'm planning on knitting a few garments with this kind of yarn, not fingering yarn, although I have also plans of using lace yarn for a few a few summer projects. But for now, because I really want to finish some projects, I'm focused on knitting heavier weight yarn. So I decided to start a pattern by Tia Coleman. This is the grapefruit pink lady. This is like is almost like a short sleeve top, right? This is like a very simple construction because it's like from the bottom to the top, and you knit in round until the separation for the sleeve, and then you knit this part and then the back, and then you sew the shoulders, and this is automatically the shape of the sleeve. So it's a very very simple pattern. It's very it's like a lace pattern, it's a 8 row repetition, but in reality there are only 2 rows with lace, so the other ones are just plain knitting. So this is a very easy to memorize pattern repeat, and because it's because I'm knitting it with heavier, well, it's not heavier than the pattern calls for, it's just how the pattern is supposed to be. I'm really liking it. So I'm not very into the pattern, right? It's not very advanced yet. I have just one repeat of the pattern, but I'm really liking how it looks. And because this is bamboo, this will be very soft and fluid knit. Yeah, so this is my most my most recent cast on. Next, I want to share with you my status update of my Nature's Walk blanket. So as I've said in the previous video, I am making 3 different blankets for my girls, and I'm using the same pattern, the same yarn, but different color schemes for each one of the blankets. So during this month of March, I made, well, I just said how much I've knitted. 26, I think I crochet, knitted, not knitted, this is crochet. I crochet 26 squares. So this is this pattern is like made in squares. There's a certain amount of squares of each pattern, right? I'm using 12 different square patterns in different colors, and during this month I've completed this pattern, which is called leaves, in all the colors that I needed. So now I'm almost 41 squares to my goal, and I say almost because this is the 42nd and it's almost it's almost done. So I've moved on to a different pattern now. I'm working the square with the buds, and well, so when I say it's almost 42, it's like I'm 16 squares away from finishing each blanket, so it's almost over. So I'm very motivated to finish the blanket. So when I bought the yarn for the blankets, I didn't bought the joining yarns nor the yarn for the border because I wasn't going to use it anytime soon. So as I'm almost near the point where I will start joining the squares, I decided to buy it now because there's this drop sale, and also I made another decision, which is connected with another goal for not for the month of April but the month of May. So I'm planning on working on the squares during the month of April, because during the month of May my online knitting friends are organizing another call, because we are a little bit call dependent, and we were planning on making a pattern by Jenny Crawford, which is Sunshines and Showers, I think it's the name of the pattern. It's a really cute crochet blanket pattern, and it's worked like it's like in clues, right? So it's at this point the pattern is already published, but when it was launched, it was 1 clue per month, so it took you like a year to make the blanket, and each stripe it's connected with the month. It's like a themed blanket, and we decided to crochet that blanket starting in May. But then I decided I wasn't going um, to do the blanket, but now I'm not so sure again. So this is just to say that I bought another pattern from the same designer because she was having a sale, and the the amount she got from the sales would revert to some humanitarian cause, and so I bought this pattern that I wanted uh, during that special sale she made. So the pattern that I bought is mystic mystical lanterns. So let me try to show you how it looks. This is like a kind of a granny square, but not a square, right? So I really like how this blanket looks. I think it will look great on as a bedspread. Um, and the reason why I decided to crochet this blanket at this point and not the other one is because I have a lot of yarn leftovers from the nature's walk, and I have been thinking on a project to use all these leftovers. These are not it's not like well, they are scraps, but not that uh, not on a few amount. It's I have some colors, uh, of course depending on the pattern of the square, right? So some colors have more leftovers, others have less leftovers, but I do have a lot of yarn in different colors, and I really don't want to have this much yarn um, and well, I really needed a project for the yarn. I've been pondering different projects, but I think this one will really work, and because these are leftovers from 3 different blankets, although the blankets are the same pattern, they have 3 different, completely different color schemes. So I bought another, I think maybe more 5 different colors to add to this one, so I can um, mix all the colors in a more harmonious way. So this is one of my future projects. I'm really looking forward to start this one, but I still have 3 blankets to finish, and this is a call that it's meant to start in May, so I will hold my needles back and try to keep my deadlines in place, so I don't mess up all my planning again. So next, what do I have to show you? I don't have any more whips at this point. I do have a few yarns that I bought. So not the yarns for the blanket, because I just ordered them yesterday, so not here yet to show you. But when I bought the bamboo yarn for my grapefruit pink lady, I also bought the same yarn into different colors. So I bought this gray, silver gray, and this is like a lemon yellow. So both yarns will also be used on a heavyweight summer top. So also looking forward to knit this yarn and have a couple more summer garments to wear. Okay, so let me see. What else? Okay, no more whips, no more finished objects. Acquisitions are already shown. Next in line are my projects. No, not my projects, my plans for April. So, April is starting soon, and I have two major goals. Of course, I will keep working on my whips. I have to finish the test knit, so the deadline is in April. But apart from these ongoing projects, I will keep working or keep challenging myself as I've been doing during this last couple of months. So I have a few projects that are just laying around because I really don't know what to do with them. I'm not sure if I want to frog or unravel the project and use the yarn to work some other projects, or if I want to finish them. So I don't have many projects that are at this point, but I still have a few that I'm not yet sure what to do with them. So I have been challenging myself to think about one project each month, not exactly each month as a month, but as soon as I start as soon as I end one of these projects, I challenge myself to solve the next one. So I have a sweater that it's all knitted, but it has a little mistake. So a few years ago, I think it was 2019, I made a test knit for a designer, and this is a sweater called Elephant Promenade. This is a very cute sweater. It has this yoke with all the elephants, and then it has another colorwork section in the bottom, and the sleeves have this colorwork detail just before the cuff, and I really loved that pattern. Nothing's wrong with that sweater, but then I decided I would like to knit a sweater in a summer version of the sweater, because this is Portugal, right? A summer version of a sweater means it has to be knitted in cotton or linen or something like that, some fiber that it's not wool. So I decided to knit the sweater in organic cotton, also from a Portuguese brand, again Rosários 4. And this is a yarn called BioLove. It's organic cotton, and this is how the sweater looks. Not sure if you can quite see, but there's a shade of white in here, and then this is a very, very light pink, and then of course the petrol blue. Again, the elephants on the bottom of the sweater. I worked a smaller ribbing, not sorry, not a large ribbing. But then when I got to the sleeves, well, this was 2019, a few years ago. It might not seem very far away in time, but I'm not an old knitter, so I started knitting a few years ago. So 2019, it's almost when I started knitting, so I from that time I still have a lot of mistakes and a lot of doubts and a lot of techniques that I were not perfect back then, and the sleeves are one of those situations. So I'm not sure. So I've been looking at the sweater and I'm not sure what the hell I've done, because when I picked up the stitches, I left this hole. Not sure what I was thinking. Not sure if this is even meant to be sewn, but it doesn't look like that. But again, although I don't quite understand what I've done in here, the point is I have more stitches on a sleeve than I have in the other. So in order for me to wear the sweater, I need to adjust the stitch count, of course, because they are really the difference is really huge. It wouldn't bother me if it was 1 or 2 stitches and it was a minor difference in the stitch width, because nobody is really watching that close, but this is a really major difference. You can see this is where one sleeve is ending, and this is how much more I have of the second sleeve. So this is something that I will try to fix in April. So I will. There's not really much to undo, because I really think it's just the cuff, the ribbing. I will just frog this part and pick up the right number of stitches and then finish the sweater. She is not very fitted, because I don't know why, because I know why, because this is cotton, and because I think I've worked a different size from the wool version of the sweater. So I wanted it really to be a little bit larger than the wool. Yes, they do have a significant difference. It can also be from the gauge. I'm not sure. This was really a long time ago. I have notes, but then again I might not have them. But the point is, back in 2019 I did have more weight than I do now, and probably I felt that the wool sweater was okay for me to wear, but in a summer version I would probably prefer something that was not so close to the body. But I've tried the sweater now in my present body shape, and I really like it. Okay, it's not a fitted sweater, but it's light and airy and flowy, and that's good to have on a very warm day here in Portugal. So I like to have both kinds of pieces. Sometimes you feel like wearing something a little more close to the body, more fitted. Sometimes you like to wear something a little bit more oversized, and it's all good. So this is one of my goals for April. So this is, I will not call this a demerit, because the sweater is really ready. Although it does have this mistake, I will say this is an honest mistake from a beginner knitter. So it's not a demerit. I will not call this a demerit. The sweater is it's perfectly knitted. So I decided to knit the sweater in cotton, although there's this myth that says that you should only knit colorwork with wool, and a very specific Shetland-like wool. But back then I really liked this sweater, and I decided to have a summer version of the sweater, and it wouldn't make any sense to knit a wool sweater to wear in the Portuguese summer, you know, because sometimes we see in northern countries, especially here in Europe, you see the difference between a summer garment and a summer knit and the winter knit is a summer knit is knitted with a fingering or a light fingering or even lace wool, and it has short sleeves. But here in Portugal, no matter how fingering and heavy weight the yarn is, you simply can't stand wool on your skin during the hot summer days. So at least I can't. I do have a few cotton wool blend garments, but still I can use them during warm spring days. But once the temperature is above 28, 29 Celsius degrees, I cannot wear any wool. Maybe some other people can, but I truly can't. So I knitted the sweater. I was happy with the sweater until someone said that cotton does not knit a very beautiful colorwork. Then I got really insecure with my with my knitting, and I started to look at the sweater and see all these imperfections, and she has been in my shelf for all these years. So last year, a few Portuguese podcasters were challenged to talk about all the whips they had, old whips, not this kind of whips that you started a few days ago, but really long, really old whips. And I made that analysis, and I went back to this sweater, and then I looked at the sweater, and I said, well, I don't see how cotton can't do a perfect color work, because at this point, with a little more experienced eyes, I see little to no flaws in my color work. I don't think this is less perfect than it would be on my wool version. I'm really happy with the result. Of course, cotton is not wool, and when you are knitting, you have to pay attention to what you are doing, especially with the color dominance, with the strands. But yet you can perfectly knit a colorwork sweater with cotton yarn. So this is my my precious goal for April. I'm really hoping I can fix this mistake, and maybe I can show you this one as a really truly finished object on my next video. Okay, so this is one of my goals for April. The next one is not an old whip like this one, is a project that I've started last year, maybe probably during September or October even, I don't know. And I knitted all the pieces, and again this is a pattern that it's knitted in parts and then assembled all together. And I made part of the project, but then the winter days arrived and the cold weather arrived, and I put the project aside because it it wouldn't be worn at that time, and I thought, but there's no point in finishing this project now if it's not going to be worn um, anytime soon. So I put the project on hold, and now I think as the weather is getting warm is the perfect time to finish this project. So I'm talking about another um, sweater jacket that I made for my husband. This is a project that I really liked. It's the Cambridge jacket. My husband has he really likes jackets with a zipper instead of the buttons. So I made a little research looking for patterns with a zipper, and I found this one in Interweave. This is a paid pattern from Interweave. I really liked the construction and the look of the jacket. I used a cotton blend with, let me see, cotton and acrylic blend. I think I used Cotton Light from Drops, but obviously not this shade. Not this shade. This is I think it's Denim Blue. This is a really simple pattern, but it's also a fun knit, because in the front you have like a plain knit. This is a little bit curved, but it's, you know, it's knitting. But it has this plain knit, and then has a ribbing panel that goes all the way to the shoulder. See? And then in the back, the back is almost the same. So there's a ribbing. Oh, let's see, where? No ribbing at this point. There's a ribbing. There's no ribbing. Looking for the seam. Okay, so this is the back. You see, it has also a part of the ribbing on the side. Then there's a plain, the plain back, the same on the other side. And again in the shoulders, you have this ribbing, which is really, really fun. Okay, so I have the front and the back sewn together. And then the sleeves are plain knit. I've sewn part of the sleeves. Now I have to join the sleeves on the body, and then I have to buy the zipper and sew the zipper. So this is almost done. Yeah, I think it will be now, because it's getting the days are getting warmer, and I think now it's the perfect time of the year for him to wear this jacket. Yeah, so not much more to say about this project. I really liked it. I like the yarn. Cotton Light yarn from Drops is, let me see, I think it's half cotton, half polyester, and it's, although it has half it's polyester, it's good to use when you are knitting big projects, because cotton tends to be a little bit heavy, and if the garment is a little bit bigger than usual, it will be very heavy and sometimes will lose the shape. So this is a little bit lighter because of the polyester. And yeah, I think after it's properly blocked, because you know it has all the ribbing and it's all shrinked, I think it's going to be a very pretty jacket. So I do have plans to knit another one of these jackets, because he liked the model, the pattern, and I think it's easy to knit. It's almost mindful project to knit. I do have plans to knit it in wool, like a winter version of the sweater, but maybe I will start it sometime in August or maybe September. I don't know. I will see. But yeah, those are my plans for the upcoming month. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you something because it's not on my notes. But I have it in front of me. So I do have another plan. Not sure if I will be working this project in April, but I want to make another summer top, but this goes a little bit against everything I've said so far. So I do want to knit most of my summer, or for now, the projects that I do want to knit are with heavy weight yarn or not fingering yarn, but I do have a project that I will be making as soon as I can that is made out of fingering weight yarn. So this is a free pattern by Drops, which is, let me see, Woodstock Weekend. It's a granny square top. So, and I do have a lot of leftovers from Drops Saffron and Drops Love You 7, which are both cotton yarns from Drops. They are almost the same weight, and I chose, the pattern calls for 6 different colors, and I do have a few shades, a few colors that I like, but I really wanted to use colors that are less colorful, because this is like a granny square top, and I really didn't want it to look like a blanket nor remind me of a blanket. So I really went for classic summer colors, a little bit like a navy inspiration, and so I chose blues, white and gray. So I do have white and gray, and this dark red, and then I have 3 shades of blue, so like a very light blue, it's almost like a very light blue. Yeah, I think it's kind of baby blue, not sure. Then a dark, let me show from the right side. Sorry, my allergies are killing me today. So another dark blue, the light blue, and then I do have a medium blue, like, let me see, okay, in here I do have 3 blues together, so this is my combination. In here I have 4 colors, and then I have here the 2 other ones that are missing. So this is my color scheme for this top. Drops, the pattern suggests 6 different color combinations, so I tested all the 6. Also, I wanted to see if using sorry, I wanted to see if I could meet the gauge for the project, so they are perfect in size. The pattern calls for a 3mm needle hook, 3mm hook, but it's too big for my tension, so I worked these squares with a 2.5mm crochet hook. So this is not a priority at this moment. I really wanted to test the squares because yesterday, not sure if it was yesterday, but a few days ago I was cleaning up my sewing craft space, like little space, and I had all my cottons in a project bag because I was working on a sweater that I'm probably going to frog away, but again, I will talk about that sweater later on, not now. But again, then I decided to the cottons in a box, and as I was putting the cottons away, I decided to see if I had any colors that would work great on this pattern that I intended to knit. Also, because I was placing an order uh, on a Drops superstore online, I wanted to see if I needed any yarn, especially the white, or if I had enough to work the top. So because I was with all the yarns near me, I decided to make the samples, and now I do have I put all the yarns that I will be using on a different project bag, and I will probably just work this project after I finish my test knit, so not a priority at the moment. Well, I think that's all for now. Again, thank you for bearing with my not so perfect English. I hope you have enjoyed my video. I hope to see you on the next video. Please make sure you subscribe my channel and feel free to leave a comment. There's no shame in it, so please let me know who you are and where you are watching from. So let me know a little bit more about yourself too. So yeah, that's all for today. Please knit a lot, crochet a lot, and sew a lot. I do have plans to get back at my sewing mojo, but later on another episode we will talk about that. So yeah, take care, be happy, and bye. See you next episode. Bye.